Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. I am Brenda Rogers, candidate for Kane County Recorder of Deeds. As your next Recorder of Deeds, I will protect our taxpayers' investment, bring awareness to the position, and do outreach to our residents and
Accountability
veterans.
in government
I am
is not a
asking for
nice
your
to have.
vote during early voting, mail-in ballot, or on November 3rd. Vote for Brenda Rogers, Kane County Recorder of Deeds, paid for by Citizens for Brenda Rogers.
Accountability in government is not a nice to have. It's a must have. That's why I'm voting for Tracy Miller for Kane County Board District 4. As a mother and businesswoman, she understands the middle class. From an election judge, citizens committees, and as a precinct committee person, she's been here with us, with the people. Tracy has over 30 years of experience as an accountant, CPA, and small business owner. She is fighting to keep the property taxes from going up and to keep us, the citizens, informed of what's taking place. I want a voice in the county government that listens to me. I want a friend, a neighbor, an advocate. I want someone who cares. That's why, as an Aurora resident, I'm voting Tracy Miller on November 3rd for Kane County Board District 4. Our city and our county deserve the best. Vote Tracy Miller. Paid for by Friends of Tracy Miller.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. A beautiful morning, an inspired, healthy to healing morning. That's a little hint for y'all about this next interview that we got today. But first, we have news and weather to tell you guys about, and I have to tell you, it's a sunshiny day today. Shout out to Treadwell, but I had Duncan this morning. I had to have it. It was like 6:30. I woke up early and was in it. The weather today, the current temperature is 58 degrees with a high of 73 degrees. That'll be reached around 2 p.m. today. Tomorrow looks to be sunny at 72 degrees, and Friday will be sunny and 80.
Wow.
Holla, holla, holla. We thought it was impossible in October, but it is happening. Now, let's get on to the news. So I told you guys yesterday about the CDBG. I got it right for once, yes. That's the Community Development Block Grant. Now, that online application is going, and it's available for you all to download, take part in, and fill out. And the due date for that is Monday, October 23rd at 4 o'clock p.m. Okay, and that digital application and its link is on our site and the City of Aurora site /neighborhood redevelopment. Starting this Thursday, another round of the Change Initiative listening sessions will take place at First New England Church at 406 West Galena. Join Mayor Irvin and Aurora police officials as they listen to your thoughts on policing and progress in Aurora. All sessions start at 6 p.m. For more information, you can go to www.auroratacil.org/change. Attack as a Navy term for a dash. So just use the dash on your computer. You must register, and that's how you register. Now, nearly 1/3 of businesses surveyed are in danger of closing by February 2021 if Illinois reverts back to Phase 3 of the Restore Illinois plan, and nearly 15% would permanently close within 2 months. While a majority of businesses and professional service firms are planning on permanently altering their business model to include telecommuting options, those are just some findings released in the COVID-19 Business Implications Survey Report, a collaboration between the Aurora Regional Chamber of Commerce and Invest Aurora. This survey report is the second COVID-19 survey from Aurora Regional Chamber of Commerce and Invest Aurora, part of a series of surveys and reports aimed at measuring the impact and implications. Ooh, you heard me kind of, I was going to say complications, but it was implications. Implications of COVID-19 on businesses across the Aurora region. The COVID-19 Business Implications Survey Report provides a close look at the data from 98 survey responses collected between September 8, 2020 and September 21st, 2020. Shout out to the Aurora Chamber of Commerce and Invest Aurora. That's all for the news until about noon. I got something to tell you guys. That's a special edition. And now to the sports.
Sports, midweek sports. I mean, what's going on in midweek? Baseball playoffs are continuing. We'll talk more about that later on as that continues. The Blackhawks selected their first round draft pick yesterday. We got Lucas Reichel. He's from Germany. That was picked in the 17th round for the Blackhawks. And then in basketball, the Lakers won 102-96 against the Heat. So they're leading that series 3-1. So we kind of know how that's probably going to end. And that's okay.
Shout out to the sports lovers out there.
Yeah.
I hope it ends good for them. I'm not a sports fan, but this show is for everybody else. Not for us. Shout out to the Bulls and the White Sox. I will say that. And now we are here with our friends, Susan Romano, Amy Downing of Healing to Healthy.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Applause for y'all.
Thank you.
Applause for y'all.
Thanks
Good to
for
see you
having
guys.
us.
Yep. Thanks for coming on to Good Morning Aurora. We got a lot to talk about, and we're going to learn about yourselves and all about Healing to Healthy.
Okay.
I'd like to start off with, you're wearing pink today. What's the significance of pink this month?
Pink, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's, I'm not really sure, where pink ribbons you'll see, pink,
Right.
I put pink in my hair. Do you know, Amy, the significance of pink?
Well, I
for
think
breast
it
cancer?
came out of the Susan Komen Foundation.
Susan Komen Foundation. And we are here to not only talk about our breast cancer journeys, but also to remind women to get their mammograms and how important that is, and also to listen to your bodies.
So starting off, we'll tell Amy, where are you from, and where were you born and raised?
I am a lifelong resident of Aurora. So I have,
Holla! Hey, hometown.
I won't say how long, but a long time.
That's a good answer.
And Susan, yourself?
I was born and raised in Lombard, so I'm western, suburban girl. My husband Joe and I moved here to the west side in Aurora 2 years ago, and we are restoring a 1957 ranch.
Nice.
So, yeah,
A
we
ranch
love
on the
it.
west side.
Yeah, a ranch
Got a nice
on the west
country
side.
feel to
Yeah,
it.
that's right. That's right. No, we love Aurora. We've been fans of their art scene since the art bar started, and we just fell in love with the community, which is why when we were looking to move, we moved here.
Interesting. Now, growing up, what impact did your fathers have in your life? And we'll start with you, Amy.
My father wasn't in my life, so, that certainly has an impact.
Right.
But I'm thankful at this point that I'm married and have my own family, and, that fulfills that void that I always felt like I had growing up. So.
Right. Understood. And Susan, yourself?
My father was a badass German. He raised us, especially us three older girls. I'm second eldest of 8 children, and he raised us to be. He always called us heavy duty, and as a young gal, especially as you're in your teen years, to be called heavy duty really wasn't all that in a bag of chips. But he did instill in us a work ethic that is pretty high. I have been working in Chicago since I've been 17 for lawyers. We talked earlier, I've
We
been
did.
commuting
Yep.
on the BNSFs for 44 years. And he unfortunately passed from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma when he was 65. He had just retired, and it was one of those stories. But he instilled a good work ethic in us, and a love of family.
So tell us about, how did you two meet? What brought
We
you
have
together?
to give a shout out to somebody who's
Yes.
very important in Aurora, Mary Watson Rodriguez. Let's hear it for Mary.
All right, we
Love
can do that.
Yes.
Love Mary.
She knew Amy, and she knew me, and you know a little bit of your side, so.
Yeah, so we were diagnosed with breast cancer right about the same time in 2017.
Okay.
And I had shared that diagnosis with Mary and a number of my friends, and she told me about a friend of hers, Susan, who was pretty much going through the same thing at the same time, and she thought that maybe we should meet and we could support each other. So we started texting and then talking on the phone. And Susan
we
came,
met.
yeah, Susan came to visit me at my house right after I came home from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
We've been friends ever since.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys have a synergy, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're sisters.
Tell us about, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh, no, it's just, and tell us about the organization, Healing to Healthy?
Yes.
How did that come about?
So, as after the surgery, you have post-op drains in place that drain the fluid off the surgical site, and they're very uncomfortable. They hang down to about your waist. At the hospital, they tell you to pin them to your little bra that you're wearing, but that's not very comfortable. It's especially uncomfortable at night when you're trying to find a comfortable way to lay down and sleep, and you're worried about pulling these out.
Yeah.
So there's garments that you can purchase that are very expensive, or you can jump through hoops to get your insurance company to pay for them, that have pockets on the inside. It's like a camisole.
Okay.
And I was able to get one of these, but not until after I was home from the hospital for a few days and had already been dealing with these. And I came up with the idea that maybe we could get people to sew these and just give them to patients before they go into the hospital so that they would be prepared.
Right, knowing it when it is in advance, and then having that.
It's one of those
Available.
things that you don't know that you need until it's too late to get one.
Right.
I actually had a little bit of a different but similar problem. I was treated at Loyola in Maywood, and prior to I had a double mastectomy, and prior to that, I had a camisole fitting, and they have a room, this whole section where you go in, and in my mind, knowing that once you're on a surgery, you have drains, you can have anywhere from 2, 3, 4 drains hanging down, and the thought of them being pulled out is insane. It's just, so you come out of surgery and you have all these drains, and you can't, you have to sleep like this. Anyway, when I went in prior to my surgery for this post-op camisole, I thought, well, certainly it'll be something that, because you can't raise your arms, it'll be something that maybe it's got like Velcro that you could just put on yourself. They give me 2, my insurance company paid a ton of money for, black stretchy camisoles that you have to literally step into, and somebody has to pull them up your body and then put your arms in and then put your drains in. And I thought, well, that's the most ridiculous thing ever, but I wore it, and I had to have help getting in and out of it every time.
Wow.
So then when Amy and I started talking, and she of course had a similar situation, I was like, we've got to do something. And so we came up with Healing to Healthy. I actually named it that, thinking that eventually we'll do more than just post-op camisoles. I know that my mother-in-law, when she was into her 80s, no longer swam anymore because that one-piece wet bathing suit was too hard for her to get off her body without help. And I thought, well, we could use the same kind of strategy, or our camisoles, but make bathing suits, 2-piece Velcro bathing suits that elderly people can get in and out of very easily. That's a little down the road, but that's why I named it Healing to Healthy. So it could be anything from healing from a surgery to just living a healthy life. And as you age, swimming is so good for you.
Yeah.
So that's further down, but this is about Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, and
This
being
is
there
the
for somebody
beginning.
to support them along that journey,
Yes.
because you guys have both already been through that.
Yes.
That's
In fact,
amazing.
I brought one today so
Yes.
you could
Okay.
see what it looks like. It's just, we designed this with the help of a seamstress. Her name is Jessie Tampa. She's
Looks
also
really
on our
good.
board. And it has Velcro, several soft Velcros.
Okay. So it's easy to get on and off.
Easy to get on and off. And then the pockets are here. You can tuck your drains in there, and they hold them just in place
Oh.
close to your body so that they're not
Yes.
flopping around.
Yeah.
They're not pinned to anything. And
Very soft,
Yeah, very
comfortable,
Oh, it is very soft.
easy to wash.
yes, so you could sleep in this, or you could just put a t-shirt on over it if you wanted to wear it.
And no
during
one's
the
gonna
day.
know.
No
Right.
one,
Right.
no.
And you have that confidence that everything is secure, and
you're not
you
gonna
can kinda
pull
go
'em
through your
out.
day,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
gonna fall off,
Right.
And if you wanted to purchase one of these, they retail for between $60 and $80.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we give them for free.
Wow.
Yes. So we have volunteers that sew them for us. And then if there's a need, we can even have people contact us directly at healingtohealthy.org. We have, Amy knows everywhere we have, because she's my tech gal. I'm more creative, but she's the tech gal, so we're.
They can email us through our website. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn. We have
Healing to Healthy.
Yes, we have a YouTube tutorial now on how to make one of these. So if anybody's interested in volunteering for us, we would give them a kit with all the supplies and instructions, and then they could watch the video and learn how to make one.
Right. We used to meet in person, obviously, and we can't do that right now. So we've actually met at the new library and have done tutorials there.
Santori.
Right, was it there?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I recall.
Yes, I remember you having them.
Yes.
Of just like these little, there was like a sew and learn type of a thing.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
That people could go there, and even if they had some basic skills,
Right.
you would teach them what they needed to do, give them all the materials, and then you're on your
Yeah,
way.
it's really a pretty simple pattern.
Yeah, it looks very, something I could handle probably.
Right, right.
I don't know about that,
No,
but.
right. Well, even high school, we're working with some high schoolers, some clubs where, they want to be able to help with that too. Also, recently, Amy, you've taken kits to a senior, what is it?
Oh, a senior living facility. They have a sewing club, and
Oh.
their plan is to make these kind of like assembly line style. So
Oh, that's a
they're
good idea.
really going to be able to crank them out, I think, when they get going.
That's
So-
a good increase in
Yeah.
production. There
Right,
you go.
right.
Yeah.
And that's
Is-
all from word of mouth.
Is it Plum Landing?
No, it's out of Plainfield.
Okay, okay, all right.
The So Blessed group.
Very cool. How many women are diagnosed with breast cancer annually?
Well, it varies, and unfortunately, the numbers have gone up over these years. It used to be, well, first of all, women didn't talk about it back in the 60s and the 70s, but I can tell you, growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, I did not know anyone. I take that back. My aunt is the only person I'd ever known that had breast cancer. And now, and there's all sorts of reasons, theories why. So in 2020, it's estimated that just in the US, there'll be 276,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer. And that includes new cases of primary breast cancer, not recurrences, because that happens. There will also be 48,000 plus new cases of a non-invasive breast cancer. And there will be over 42,000 breast cancer deaths this year, estimated. And least we not forget, men are also diagnosed with breast cancer at a much lower rate. But, men also have to be aware of any changes in their breasts. Their breasts are just like ours, they just don't, they don't feed the youth. So, but there'll probably be about 2,600 men diagnosed this year of the invasive breast cancer. And in men, there'll be about 520 breast cancer deaths. And when you think of breast cancer, you don't usually think of men.
You don't.
Right, but
Prostate cancer tends to be the
Prostate.
more pertinent
Right.
amongst men, yeah.
right. But men can get breast cancer also.
And for the listeners and for myself, what's the difference between invasive and non-invasive cancers?
Do you
Well, the invasive cancer is the cancer that will spread to your lymph, and eventually, left untreated, that's what causes death. So.
Right.
Okay.
So that will be, so like when you are staged, they'll tell you, and certainly after my double mastectomy, I knew that if I woke up with 3 drains, that it was in my lymph system also. They check a certain sentinel lymph node.
Right.
And if it was in there, that they'd have to remove that, and I'd have a drain coming out of there too. I'll never forget, just, one of those parts of your life that when I woke up in recovery, the nurse came over, and, if you ever had surgery, it's like, I don't know, you're like, am I dead? And it's just
Right.
like kind of come out of this fog.
Right.
And I remember I started moving, and the nurse ran over and she said, "Don't move, Susan, you have 2 drains coming out of you." And I knew it wasn't in my lymph system, because I would have had 3, if not more, if it was. So my family was all waiting for me. My surgery was very long. And when I got to my room, and they were all, waiting, they were so excited to tell me what I already knew.
Yeah.
But that was fine. We all got to have a good cry over it because we were so happy. But
Thankful,
many
yes.
women are already, once it's discovered, it's already in their lymph system, and then it metastasizes to your brain, throughout your body. And once it metastasizes, I don't know, the survival years is like 3 to 5, I think, is what I've read.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to have that mammogram every year. Just wanted to say that mine was diagnosed just on a routine mammogram. I had no symptoms. I had no lumps. The particular type of cancer I had formed a flat tumor, so that it wouldn't have formed a lump. So it's just really important to make sure that you get that done. I had no history of it in my family. It just came as a complete shock. But even when you hear those statistics, you always think that you're not going to be the one.
Right. I hear that. So it's every year that it's recommended. Is it over a certain age, or just if you have a family history?
I believe is it
40? It's 40 every year after 40, but if you have a family history at all, or notice any change in your breasts, definitely. I know I know that fear kind of keeps people from finding out. Sometimes it's fear driven that you're like, oh, it's nothing. But for me, it was much different than how Amy was diagnosed. I had a clean mammogram, and 7 weeks later, I was showering and I noticed a change in my right nipple, where if you shower, men and women, your nipple's usually like that. Mine was just a little slightly up, and I thought, oh, I slept on it wrong, and didn't think anything of it. That next morning I got in the shower, it's the same thing, and I started pressing, and I felt something. I went that week. That week I went and saw my GP, who referred me immediately to Delner Hospital for ultrasound check on it, and the radiologist came right in and said, we are seeing 3 areas of concern under your right nipple, which is exactly that week I found out. So I chose, because of history that I have at Loyola, who treated my first cancer there, I went back to Loyola. And because of my past history, they decided to do a double mastectomy and just be done with it. So, but I went that week, and I think some people might not. So I just ask you, women and men, any change, get it checked out. Get it checked out. It
Yes.
saved my life.
Yeah.
because the survival rate is what, 99% if it's
Right.
caught.
Right.
Early detection.
Early detection, your survival
Right.
rate is awesome. It's almost 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ev-
99.
And everybody's busy. Nobody really schedules that, or maybe some people do, put that on their calendar. But you'd mentioned, like in the shower, it's probably the perfect,
It's a perfect place.
time to always, be aware, check
Right.
for any abnormalities.
Any little
Um,
dimple or something that wasn't there before. It's huge.
And make the appointments with your doctor to get in
Immediately.
there.
Right. And everyone kept saying, well, your mammogram, you just had your mammogram, it's going to be fine. But my godson is a radiologist, and he said specifically under the nipple is very hard to see. So he wasn't surprised.
You mentioned that in the 60s, 70s, it wasn't talked about.
Right.
Or I think breast cancer, or perhaps
Any
mammograms.
cancer.
Why is that?
So from what I've read, it was like, oh, did you hear? So-and-so has the C word. I mean, they wouldn't even say it out loud. I mean, it was sort of the same thing with women when they were pregnant.
Sure.
Remember, you would try to hide your pregnancy, right? And you didn't really go out in the open, and it was just that was more of a 50s thing. In the 60s, a little bit more, but you would be out and about when you're pregnant. I don't know. I don't know if it was fear. They didn't want people to know, because their thought was they were going to die. I'm not sure. It certainly wasn't as prevalent. And I have my own theory as why it's prevalent more so now. And my theory, I've worked in the environmental field with lawyers my whole, 30 plus years of my career. And I think it's what we eat. I think it's what we drink. I think it's what we breathe in. And I think all that toxicity that wasn't in our food, in our drinks, all the artificial stuff that, you know, these giant industries have put in because it's cheaper, but our bodies can't process it. And that's my theory, and people argue and think it's not right, but it is so much more prevalent now. And back in the 60s, I mean, you went to the grocery store, you bought fresh stuff, you know, they didn't have all the hormones and everything that they put in, antibiotics and all that kind of stuff that our bodies can't break down. Artificial sweeteners.
Right. Splenda.
Nothing, well, but yeah, any of that, our bodies don't know what to do. They're like, what? You know, so there's byproducts out of all that when your body can't process it. You should have sugar.
Right.
Real cane sugar, not beet sugar, cane sugar.
Right.
Right. So that's just my theory. Amy you guys might all have a different theory as to why, but.
Yeah, I'm familiar with some of those cultural, they're cultural taboos that prevent people from talking about those things which are serious in their life because they don't want to identify them, you know, let the world know.
No.
Yet to your point, you said that, you know, you're always thinking that it can't happen to you. So
right.
when you do start, you know, seeing lumps and having those changes in your body that concern you, your obvious reaction may not be to tell somebody about it. It's
right.
to think and kind of play the scenarios in your head as opposed to getting it checked out.
Taken care of,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
After I was diagnosed, one of the things I was most terrified about was just having to tell people, even my family, my friends, my coworkers. And then I was just amazed at the level of support and love that came back to me once I did start telling people. And I mean, it really just helped me open up
Yeah.
to
What-
people.
What are some of the emotions that you were going through during that, or even, you know, again, just as a double mastectomy? What are some of the emotions women are going through that you can, other than a lot? There are so many. There's a
It's
gamut
like
of emotions.
grief, wouldn't you say?
Oh, it's
grief.
certainly
It's
grief.
a process of,
Right.
you know, like denial and anger and shock. And
Right.
how could this happen to me? I always identified myself as this really healthy person. I was really fit. I was probably in the best shape of my life when I was diagnosed. And I just didn't see myself as this sick person. But again, that has nothing to do with it. It can just happen to anyone.
Anybody,
Right.
anyone.
My cancer was hormone driven, so it's from having too much estrogen in the body.
Okay.
And
Susan?
for me, it was kind of a double whammy because in 2001, my father had died from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I was in the middle of terribly grieving his loss. And I was a runner, and I got up to run one morning, and I couldn't breathe. I had been having some symptoms, but they would go away. And I don't know about you guys, but I was like, well, it can't be anything bad because it wouldn't go away, right? If it was bad, it would stay all the time. Not true again. And I got up to run that morning. I was raising my 2 kids on my own, and I was running with a girlfriend, and I couldn't run. I had such a heaviness in my chest. Long story short, got my kids put away in where they needed to be, and drove myself to Del Nor. And I had a small cantaloupe-sized tumor of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in my chest. So being my father had just passed from it that year, I was like, what? I too was in the best shape of my life then. And I was mad. I was like, okay, God, I have these kids to take care of. I'm trying to get healthy and do the right thing, and now this. And it ended up that in 2002, November 2002, I needed a stem cell transplant to save my life. So fast forward all those years later, I meet this man who I just love, Joe, don't you know? We always hashtag him.
Don't you know?
And we got married. We got married at the Roundhouse. We're the first couple to ever get married in the tavern there. And we had a great, I just so love him. And I got diagnosed right before our first wedding anniversary. So I came home with a double mastectomy to this man I so love, but 2 days before our first wedding anniversary, and he was the best caretaker ever, and slept. I had to sleep in a, I don't know where I slept in a recliner. Did you?
Oh, no, I slept in my bed,
Did
just
you?
on my back. flat on
I
my
slept
back.
in a recliner, and every time I moved a muscle, he was up helping me. So for me, I mourn that, here I am in this, now.
It's your happy ending. And
Right, and it's
and
like,
not
yikes,
known.
but it is a happy ending, because we're
Yeah.
here, and we moved to Aurora, and I got, it just, everything falls in place.
It does.
Yeah, there were many, I would say there's many blessings that can come out of it, going through an experience like
Oh,
this.
sure.
It's, I hate to say it's nothing to fear, but it's just an experience. If you have to go through it, you just go through it, and you come out on the other side. And
Well,
Got something. I got something from for both of you ladies, actually. A friend of the show has a question that we'd like to put to both of you. So we'll start with you first, Susan. How do you keep your chin up?
I've kind of always had this personality, and I have high energy, and I just always I love people. And in my sharing of what I've gone through, it helps other people. So that, certainly, don't get me wrong, I have bad days. And those days, for me, I usually lift it up to the Lord. I have, and that doesn't always work too, because I end up lifting it up and then taking it back. But,
Like, hold on, God, you know what? Let me look at it one more time.
What? Anyway, but I surround myself with these, I have incredible, some of my family members are just there, and I have a network of friends that if I were having any issue, I could call and just privately share with one who would then just lift me up so I could smile again. So I share a lot.
Okay. Okay.
so having cancer teaches you how to live in the moment and how to live for today, and to make the most of every day, and to to realize you don't have control over the future, and you never did, even if you didn't think that way before, and just being able to live so presently has really been a blessing to me. So
it's great that you guys have came together to form this organization to be the support for so many other women out there. You said we think that all these emotions, and know that other people have been through it, and you can kind of guide them through it and give them the resources that they need.
Right.
You know,
And they can reach out to us, Healing to Healthy, at any time if they're afraid, if they have questions. I had shared earlier about an issue I had with insurance. If they're having issues, I've been through where they're like, nope, we're not paying for that. And I'm like, oh, yes, you are. It's federally mandated. You have to. And they paid for it. And so, anything like that. We're not only here to support with our chemicals, we're here to support them emotionally, with anything, or just to be a connector for resources. So please reach out to us.
How do people, one, I guess if they know somebody that wants a camisole or needs a camisole, how do they get in touch with you, or how can they donate?
Well, we've donated some of these to the Cancer Center at Rush Copley to give to patients, but we do have a supply of them now that if somebody did need one, we could fulfill individual requests. So just reach out via Facebook or our website. Our email address is on the website. It's healing2healthy@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or go to healingtohealthy.org.
Right.
I think there's a form on there if you want to.
And Facebook is always so easy,
Yeah,
just because
Facebook.
everyone's on Facebook. We just had someone reach out, a friend of mine whose niece in her 20s was going to be having a double mastectomy. And she was out of state and wanted one, contacted Amy, and she sent it to her. We can send them anywhere, right, at no cost.
Okay.
And Amy, none of us make any money. We're not like a nonprofit where we have this board of directors who are driving like cool
Limos,
cars.
yeah.
No.
But you are a nonprofit organization?
We are a
Yes.
nonprofit.
Yeah, we are a 501c3
Right.
for tax purposes, and people can donate either through our website. We do have a fundraiser going on Facebook right now through our page.
that they can make a donation just to help or in honor or memory of somebody. They can do that as well.
Yes, absolutely. We have a commercial right now. I'm on it. It was like, wow. That wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. And I realized I moved my head a lot, but regardless, for $20 donation, you could, that's what it costs us to have that made. They can have that in honor of someone, in memory of someone, whatever or just to do it. I actually was so blessed. I had a fundraiser for us for my birthday. Facebook allows you to do that, and raised a good chunk of money that way. And we've also, though, used to be before COVID, we could go out like outside the Jewel. We had looked at scheduling fundraiser there where people just give you $1 or $2 and it all adds up. I mean, there's no donation too small. We'll take change.
Anything helps.
Anything helps.
Anything helps.
Anything, yes.
The time is now 9:20 a.m. You're listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and we are joined by our friends and community partners, Susan Romano, Amy Downing of Healing to Helping.
Thank you.
Now you mentioned having you're going to get treatment, and people are like that. We're not going to pay for that on insurance. What are the hindrances and roadblocks that exist at the federal or state level in terms of care and treatment?
Well, for me specifically, I am on my husband's insurance plan. He worked for the union his whole life, so he's always said he has the best insurance, and he does. His insurance is really great. But it is privately held, privately funded. And when I was going for reconstruction, and first of all, women, men, whatever, you don't have to have reconstruction after a double mastectomy or a single mastectomy. Some women, I'm not sure men, because it's just women that I know about, opt not to have reconstruction. And what that means is you would be flat, up here. You wouldn't have what appeared to be breasts. I chose, though, to have reconstruction. And once, while you have your mastectomy, at the same time, they implant skin tissue expanders. And once you heal, your scarring has healed enough for you to go, you go on a weekly basis. For me, it was weekly, and they inject saline solution and start expanding you. And they get you to the point where your tissue is expanded enough that they could put implants in. But what you're left with is a scar. It's a straight line scar across your breasts. No nipple. For me, there were no nipples. And I had heard about a man who started doing 3D nipple tattoos in honor, I don't know if it was his sister or his mother who passed. He travels around the country. So my husband Joe and I had decided, I'd never been to New Orleans. That was a place that he went to, and this is a little offshoot, but I'll just tell you because this is how I am. We decided we were going to go on this trip, and I was hashtagging it, what was I calling it? The nip trip. And then another person in my life said, why don't you then also hashtag it the tit tat? So we're going on this nip trip to do this tit tat, but as it turned out that's very expensive. And at Loyola, they trained one of their nurse practitioners in their plastic surgery department how to do them herself. And she does incredible work. So when I went and I had them done the first time, and it got processed through my insurance, through my husband's insurance company, they came back and denied it because it was cosmetic. So I called and had a little discussion with them, and they said, no, we are privately funded. We can make our own rules. I went back to Loyola, told them what they said, and they said, not true. Federally mandated. It's part of reconstruction. They have to pay. So my doctor had to write a letter, very specific, and that went to the insurance company, and guess what? They paid. So I will encourage people, if anything gets rejected, always go back. do some research, reach out to us, because that would have cost a ton of money out of pocket. I also had to go back, because just like any tattoo, it fades, and it wasn't quite what we expected, and I went back for a touch-up. That again was rejected by the insurance company. Again, had to call and again remind them about the letter my doctor and the federal mandate that they have to pay for it. And guess what? They paid.
Jeez.
But had I not done that, they wouldn't have paid.
So I had a Blue Cross HMO, which was a good insurance plan, but every step of the way, I had to have a referral and an approval to have the next thing done, which during the diagnosis time, you know, you're having a ultrasound, and then you're having a biopsy, and it's a lot of steps and a lot of things that they want to do very quickly, one right after another. So shout out to Rush Copley, because they were on top of all of that and got those referrals processed and pushed everything through so that I was able to do things in the timely manner that I needed to have done, and got through it that way. The other thing I would like to mention for women who don't have insurance, go to the VNA.
Oh, okay.
VNA Healthcare has a program through the state of Illinois for mammograms for women who are uninsured or underinsured, and can help with that whole process as well.
So first step would be to start with your insurance company, find a doctor in network, see if there's any referrals that you need, and if you don't have insurance, there are resources like the VNA that you can reach out to, just to make sure that you're getting it done, which is important. That's great.
If I'm not mistaken, there was a campaign, not associated with a person, I don't think, but there was a campaign or a push to have mammograms free. Am I mistaken in that? There was I thought there was a concerted effort at some levels to have mammograms either free for women or at a significant reduction of cost. Is that?
If you're covered by any insurance plan, it has to cover it at 100% as a preventive service.
Right.
So.
Okay.
But there are also, aren't there mobile mammogram, a mobile, they drive around and they screen women? I'm almost sure they do that also, and that would be for free, I would think, but I don't know. We'd have to look into that. If anyone's interested, contact us, Healing to Healthy.
I mean, if you contact Good Morning Aurora, I'm going to point you to Healing and Health.
Oh, yeah, you can contact them too, because
I asked the question. I still don't know what it was. I worked at Edward Hospital once upon a time.
Okay.
That was my first job out the Navy, and it was like a van. It was like a mobile clinic of some sorts. But I did think that there was also a concerted effort underneath that to show, like, especially in underserved communities, where people, you know, have not any lack or have any resources whatsoever. That may have been what it was, you know, driving perhaps those communities and bringing out those vans and things. But I like when I hear the shout outs to Rush Copley and Delnor Hospital, because I do believe that, like, they don't get enough credit for the good that they do. So it's great to hear stories like this.
Right, and the VNA, my gosh,
Yes.
that is huge in Aurora here.
That's one down there on Highland?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And they have a
I
lot
had a
of,
friend that worked there, but-
resources, so I would encourage people to contact them too if they're in need.
Nice.
And shout out to the medical team, the nurses, doctors, practitioners who are dealing with people every day, you know, and guiding them through this. So it has to be a tough, you know.
And there's lots of steps too. I have a breast oncologist, I have a plastic surgeon, I have a breast surgeon. I mean, that's just, and I have all those appointments. So I have so this month I have my plastic surgeon, I have my CT scan to make sure things are cool, and I see my breast oncologist all this month.
Yeah, and these people become a part of your life for many, many years after the surgery. So.
Yes. And they get cookies too.
Well, hey, that's an excellent
No,
segue.
I didn't mean it for that. I just
So
your cat's upside down, Curtis.
Is it? Oh yeah.
Don't
There we go. Right. So our friend Susan baked cookies for our staff and our team. So Hunter, JV, myself, and Christine, we all got cookies.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very big thank you.
You're welcome.
Tear this up
So
with
much.
round
That's so
2 of
sweet.
the Dunkin'.
Oh.
So I want to, if we can, I want to talk a little bit about preparing the next generation of women to be cognizant of their health, to have those checks early, to understand what the mammogram is and its significance and everything. Where does that start currently in society, and could it be better or enough? I'm speaking on issues that I am completely unfamiliar with, but I'm trying to just ask: is there a lack of understanding with young women about that importance now? Is that being taught? Should it be taught? What's the status with that?
Well, my son is at West Aurora High School, and he's taken a really excellent health class that I feel like has been a good foundation for a lot of that. I don't have a daughter, so I can't speak to that part of it.
Right.
But
So I have a daughter who is turning 30 next month. Hard to believe, my baby girl. But I think that this generation and the younger, even younger than that, I think they are being groomed better than like we were groomed. I mean, back in the early 70s when we had health class, everything was whispered about, and we were separated and all that kind of stuff. And we certainly didn't learn about our body and what possibly could happen, and even just look for changes.
Right.
And, for whatever point. And now that they talk about mammograms, now they have October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. None of that existed before. I think that this is pretty much in their life from early on. So my hope would be that they are aware and that it is being taught at school on a better level than what was taught before. Maybe culturally it's not, I'm not sure, but I think that everybody is pretty much, it's there. And we talk about it on shows like this, and on television, and on Facebook, and social media all over.
Yeah.
And people who've had it talk about it.
And the organizations like yours and so many out there now bring that awareness. And as you mentioned, it's not a taboo subject like it once was in
Right.
the past. So
Right.
hopefully these kids they're affected, everybody knows somebody
Everybody
that was affected
yes.
by it.
Right.
And now that it's so open, they can.
Right.
Take
And I
those
think
steps.
that they're more, these generations talk more. I mean, even me, I'm 62. I mean, for me to sit here and talk about my nipple, I mean, that would have never happened. I mean, my father is rolling into his grave.
This would have been a banned show back in the day.
That's right. But people talk about that now. I mean, kids are more open about their bodies and, their personalities and all those things. So prayerfully, it's not an issue like it used to be. And they do talk about it and recognize it and share it. And hopefully, if it's something that's fear-based, they don't want to have it dealt with, they've shared it with somebody who says, let's go.
Right.
We're going.
Yeah.
Diet, exercise, or the lack of, and smoking, I'm sure, are huge contributing factors to cancers.
Right. Obesity is huge. I mean,
Obesity,
I didn't
okay.
mean that, I'm not meaning it like that, but I just mean obesity in the U.S. I mean, we have,
yeah.
we're one of the fattest
Populations,
cultures.
yep, we are.
I remember years ago going to France, and it was in between my diagnosis in 2001 and my stem cell transplant in 2002. I had a credit card with nothing on it. I had a girlfriend in France who kept asking me to come, and I was afraid to fly. And I thought, forget that. I was afraid of cancer too, so let's go. So the kids and I went. And I have to tell you, we were there for 2 weeks, and you rarely saw an overweight, a large person.
Right.
Rarely. They smoke and they drink, but they eat differently. And in France, and maybe it's different now, but they eat a very small breakfast. They eat a huge lunch and a very small dinner, where we're opposite. We eat a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it. They also tend to eat a little bit more. And they eat rich food, but it's all from scratch. It's all.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think obesity certainly is huge in contributing, to all sorts of
You agree,
cancers,
Amy?
but breast
yes,
cancer is one of them.
absolutely.
So now the show ends on a positive. Well, the time is now 9:33. We got some time, so we're going to start this part of the questioning now, so we're going to roll into this. I got to get you on record, both of you. Best restaurants in town. Where's Amy going on this? I'm from out of town. Where you sending me, Amy? We'll start with Amy, then we'll go to you.
Okay. Hands down, my favorite is the Turf Room.
Oh,
Because that's North Aurora. But
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's where we go for date night and happy hour.
Christine is, she's mentioned that before a couple of times. Yeah, Turf
It's
Room.
very good, very good.
All right.
I forgot about the Turf Room, you know. I used to go there when they first opened. Parker owns it, and he also opened the Hardware, which is a little bit of different vibe, but that's Parker's restaurant too. That is a great place, but locally, we're a fan of music. So anywhere there's music, Gillerson's been having music out behind.
Yep.
Jake Mack, shout out to you. The other musicians, wherever they are, we usually follow. El Chiro,
Okay.
we like El Chiro. We haven't been to Mora yet.
You haven't been to Mora yet? I thought you would have been to
Well, you know what?
Susan. I was picturing you out with
Yeah,
the hat.
Right.
Doing your thing.
I could have totally done that.
I think they're taking a little hiatus right now. I think they did their outdoor dining,
And
and
now
they're
it's,
taking.
they're
right,
working
yeah.
on.
They're going to come back in a little bit,
Right.
when the weather picks up.
Of course, I have to give a shout out to Charlie's Creamery. Their
Yeah.
butter pecan ice cream, OMG.
Okay.
Yeah, unbelievable.
You heard it here on Good Morning Aurora.
That's
the butter
right.
pecan
Yeah,
ice
yeah,
cream.
yeah.
That's made by hand. There's a story behind it about how Esther went to California to learn how to make all of these, which is another story in itself.
I'm thinking carpal tunnel after a
I'm
while.
sure there were
That's
machines, but here's me like
saying.
with the big wooden spoon.
Right. Love
I
it.
really like the grapefruit flavor
Oh,
they got down. It is, just one little scoop of that little tiny.
I'm
spoon.
salivating.
It does. I mean, your mouth is just
Yeah.
boom. It's just an explosion.
Yeah.
That's a very good place. Yeah,
Yes,
Charlie's
yes.
Creamery. Very good.
Where else? I don't know. Where else am I
We-
missing?
We get takeout from Jalisco's Tacos,
Oh,
Okay.
or Friday night pizza night with gourmet pizza.
Gourmet pizza.
Yeah, it's on Elmwood.
Elmwood, yeah.
Elmwood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
So the first person who I heard that from, like, we had gourmet pizza. I was thinking that they got, like some.
Right, like fancy pizza.
Yeah, what is it? The freezer aisle at mine or something like that. Gourmet, Yeah, DiGiorno.
It's a place.
Okay, it's a place. All right.
It's a little hole in the wall carry-out
Yeah.
place, but really good.
Those are good.
Really
You
good
can-
thin crust pizza.
Yeah,
You
some
can
of the
get
best places.
carry out. You can also get it at Aurora Tap House. Remember we had our meeting there?
We did, yeah.
Oh.
That was a gourmet pizza that they threw in like their little oven.
The beep that you're hearing,
Not a pizza.
it's not a
It's
pizza.
not a pizza. That's a pizza oven is going off.
Oh, we're about to cook right now. Okay, got you on. All right, good. Turf Room, Altiro, got you on record with the
Gillerson's.
excuse me.
Yes.
Got you on record with that. Now, it's a hopping Friday night. I've seen you a lot of places. It's a hopping Friday night, first Friday. Where are you ladies at on a first Friday?
Oh my gosh. We're here. I'm here a lot.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Wherever the shows are, we go. I love watching the belly dancers, Out on Downer. I photograph, and I just
Zen Loft.
wherever the people are is where you'll find me and Joe.
Okay.
I always like to hit up Wickwood House for a little shopping.
Yes.
And
Yes,
Society
yes.
57
Yes.
for a little coffee.
Amy, you got some shout outs in you. Look.
Forgot about Wickwood House. Yeah, go there.
Good place.
Yeah.
It's a really good place.
And of course, a shout out to Javi, who, the art
Art
bar
bar,
that's been
yeah.
around forever. Love you, Javi, and love everything that he does. I have bought. I am known as one of the biggest buyers of whatever the art is. Joe finally said, "No more art. We
Dang.
have so much
Clipped your
local
wings on art?
Well,
No.
he would let me, but we have so much local art that
Right.
we don't even hang. We haven't even framed.
Right.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of. I'd rather get something handmade local than something from Hobby Lobby
Amen
that was
to
made
that.
in China.
Right. Amen to that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Supporting the
There we
community.
go. Shout out.
And I met Javi recently at the Aurora Wall.
Yes.
Come along. So he was a good brother.
Yes.
Really good guy.
Cool.
All right, and then, well, you kind of answered it, Amy, a little bit. You went there.
Uh-oh.
The coffee. So, I mean, are you Society 57? That's your answer for the coffee, or
Oh
do
gosh,
you?
I love all the coffee houses downtown.
Okay.
It's gonna be hard to pick a
Yeah.
favorite. But there are a few special things at Society 57 that I do love. So.
I like the atmosphere in that place.
Avocado toast.
You walk in.
Yes.
Oh, the avocado toast. Oh, people
Yes,
like that. Yeah.
it's amazing.
People like
You can
that.
Check it out.
Yeah, I like it. You walk in, and the vibe. It opens up.
Oh,
the
yeah.
light. It's very pretty. It's a really pretty place.
And the Kadic bread croissants, I've never had them, but I see them posted from Society 57. They're like, I'm gonna have to run down there just to burn off the calories, yeah.
We're really spoiled in Aurora with all the good coffee shops. I mean,
Right.
everybody offers something a little different, so
I
it's a
am
great
not,
mix.
I am not a fan of independent coffee shops, only because I like cream that tastes like coffee. And usually those are like real expensive drinks. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts gal, all the way.
I took.
Okay.
I can brew
Come
it at
on.
home in my 1957
Bam!
percolator.
Yes.
Boom,
The
shakalaka.
Dunkin'. That is right.
That's
That is-
right. And,
Yes.
you know, I know they're corporate, and I love supporting, everyone knows I love supporting our Aurora. But, yeah, Dunkin' Donuts. It's in Aurora, right
It
by the,
is.
as I call it, the Jewels.
The Jewels.
On Galena.
The jewels. Yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you. Yeah.
You can read about it on the Facebook.
Yeah, Galena.
The Facebook.
What's that? Randall? No, past Randall.
No, Galena and Constitution-ish.
Right.
It's right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Dunkin's corporate, but they're not. They got good. It's good corporate.
It is
that
good
right?
corporate. Although you know, as an environmentalist, I should have never loved their styrofoam cups, but I gotta say, it kept that coffee hot.
Yeah.
That coffee's not hot anymore, right?
No, it's kind of right. So let's talk a little bit about Aurora. What do you think about what do you think about the changes that have been made and where Aurora is going? We'll start with you, Amy.
Oh, well, you know, I've lived throughout my life, so I've seen it change quite a bit over the years. And, you know, I think thanks to the Park District that we have a lot of really nice facilities that everyone can use. And I think we're attracting a lot of business and a lot of good restaurants. And I think we can only go up from here, so.
What about you, Susan?
I started commuting because I was in North Aurora. I started commuting to the train station in 1991. And when I first said I was moving to North Aurora, some family members were like, Aurora, you know, and I said, no, North Aurora. Well, that's north in Aurora. And I'm like, no, it's what we're talking about, regardless. But back in the 90s, you know, it was not always the place to be. I mean, but I have watched, you know, just the music, the art. I mean, what was the street festival they used to have in the summer?
Alley Art Festival.
No. Alley Art is in August, right around my birthday. So no, it used to be in the summer. Was it
Downtown Alive.
like Downtown Alive? Was that it?
Yeah.
My kids and I would come from North Aurora down here. We loved it. And so we've watched the downtown, you know, come alive. I mean, everybody has their opinion. If you look at anything that's ever posted on, you know, what's happening in Aurora, you'll see all the different sides of it. I would like to see things progress a little quicker. It seems like lots of times you see them working on something, and it's like, it's a year later and we're still working on it. So it would be nice to see things progress a little quicker, and also to have better parking. I am never parking on, is it Broadway?
Yeah, you can't. Could you ever?
I almost sideswiped this
Yeah.
really badass, good-looking vintage truck because the guy next to me was crowding me over.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But we need more parking.
I go around to parking lot E. It's got that new little vintage sign right across from the fire museum. So both places. It's kind of
Okay.
like tucked away.
Oh,
Nice
yeah,
parking
behind the
lot
cake
back there.
place.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of signs, so I do like the sign that they put in as well.
It has a nice look to it. Like
Right,
at
isn't
night
it
when it's
cool?
lit up, it does have a
Vintage.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
That vintage vibe.
Kind of like
And
a film
where's-
noir kind of thing.
Where's Josh Schultz's the new Aurora sign? Where is that at? I've been trying to find it.
Lake.
The mural.
Lake and Galena.
Lake and Galena.
Portas Guadalajara,
Yes.
Okay.
right behind it.
Okay.
So if you are going what would be east on Galena,
Okay.
coming into downtown on your right-hand side, you'll see it.
You'll see it. Okay.
If you're driving down Lake, you can't see it, but if you're coming, from the west side.
Galena. Okay. Because I went down Lake and I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah. It's a great mural, looks really good. And boy, I tell you, the style that we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it really adds a lot of like life and vibrancy to that corner. I mean,
Awesome.
it does. It looks vintage and very cool.
They
Hip,
really
modern.
cleaned it up over there, as far,
Yeah.
and then put that sign in there too. So
They did
it's
the
great.
gold on it recently,
Oh, awesome.
so now it's blinging.
Bling. Wow.
Yeah.
And also a shout out just to Aurora because I do some photography on the side, and I've started doing some photo shoots of seniors, the gals and guys. I use downtown Aurora so much. It's got such a great vibe. There's so many great places to shoot. So, all your photographers out there, come to Aurora, spend your money, but also, they're great places to shoot.
Shout out
Yes.
to GW Bonick, all of our photographer friends. Shout out.
Awesome.
Shout out.
Yeah.
So the show ends on a positive note. Shout out the social media one more time, though, ladies, so people know where to find you.
Facebook, Healing to Healthy.
Okay.
Instagram, Healing, the number 2 to Healthy.
Okay.
LinkedIn, Healing to Healthy.
Right.
I'm not sure how you can search that up on LinkedIn.
Right.
Our website is healinghealthy.org, and there's the YouTube video is embedded into the website, so you can watch it there.
Wonderful.
Right.
I subscribed yesterday
Oh,
to your
Thank
YouTube
you.
channel.
Thank you.
Oh, we'll make sure that we subscribe too.
Okay.
So please
thank you.
subscribe.
Positive note for the day. We'll start with you, Susan. What's the message to the women of the city of Aurora?
Well, to the women and the men, with regards to, first of all, thank you for having us. That's really positive for us to be able to speak and share our journeys. But I just want people just to listen to your bodies, notice any change, and then act on it. And if there is any fear or something that you need to discuss, you can reach out to Amy or myself. And at Healing to Healthy on Facebook, IM us, and we'll get back to you. We're here to help.
Yeah, thank you for having us and letting us share our stories today. And just again, want to remind women, get your mammogram.
Yes.
Strong,
Thank you.
powerful. Well, the second largest city's first daily news podcast is pleased to have had our friends and community partners on, Susan Romano and Amy Downing of Healing to Healthy. You heard their social media, so please like and subscribe to their Facebook page. If you are able to donate, please do so. If you have someone who can benefit from camisoles or any of the products that they have and have coming, please reach out to them via Facebook, Instagram. If you have any questions for them that you want to submit to us, send them to us, and we will send them over to the team here. I'd like to say thank you to the ladies for coming on, being great, powerful people and advocates for women's health. Get your mammograms. Do not forget to vote, and be blessed, motivated, and powerful on this Wednesday. And we will see you back here tomorrow morning on the world's I'll keep going. The world's greatest. The world's greatest. I meant to say the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And with that, we're out.